Right now, we're building features. We're building pilots. We're going to get that shit funded. That's not even a question.
I'm working a job for NIFA to do a campus video. I'm doing every single one of their campuses, even the one in Italy.
You know the difference between proactive and reactive thinking?
You're the train and I'm the tracks.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I just
Oh,
came
so
up with
proactive,
that.
reactive. Yeah. All right, cool. No, that's dope. That's dope.
And Natalie's shoveling the coal.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. You're probably hearing music right now because we're all dancing. We're all dancing to it. We can't hear it. Sitting next to me, as always, Mr. Michael Yadvish, and our special guest today, Vinny. I now know how to pronounce your name,
Arizzo, si.
Okay, yeah, maybe just one little.
Arizzo.
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 Yeah.
You know,
Are you Italian?
I'm half Italian.
Okay.
I'm half Italian. I'm Italian-Irish.
What's the other half?
Italian-Irish.
Oh, Irish.
Yeah. Where is it?
That's one
He
half.
said it quick.
I did say it super quick. I mean,
I had the question preloaded in my head, and I was
hey,
going
bro,
to say
I'm
it
the
anyway.
same way. I'm the same. I'm not even going to shame you for that. I am the same way, dude. So don't even worry.
Funny.
So, but yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip, man.
Yeah, sure.
Vinny, we met you maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And you are not only a fantastically nice person, but you own your own film production company. You own your own, I was gonna say university.
Soon to be.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, 100%.
How did you get to doing all these magnificent things?
So I started years ago, right after my mentor got me into film festivals, and essentially, and it was during a time where I was just about to quit too. But what happened was those festivals then, essentially, I won all these festivals. Like when I was 16 years old, I went to the New York Film Academy because everybody told me that I had to go to school. Basically, that's kind of the idea, right? That every kid is beat into, right? You know, and then. I went out to the New York Film Academy in New York, and then I went out to the New York Film Academy in LA, realized that it was all fucking bullshit, basically. Right?
Okay, so you went to both coasts.
Yeah.
Did that prompt your move to LA? Was going to the Film Academy out there?
No. I just wanted to stick with the New York location, but because I thought I needed a degree, the only way you can get a degree is going out to LA.
Oh.
So that's the only way, but they do it in 3 years. So you do 1 year in New York and 2 years out in LA, or you can do all 3 years out in LA.
What the fuck? Is that just for like, because everything is out there? Like, why
no
even have a
fucking
location
idea.
then?
I
if
got
you can't
no idea. They're
Complete it
fucking
over
stupid.
here.
Yeah, those guys are fucking stupid. Yeah. So
Well, anyway,
So I went out to the New York Film Academy in LA, and I realized that I was going to be dropping out soon because it was just, stupid. So essentially there was a guest speaker that came in, Brett Ratner, right? He did Rush Hour 1, Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour 3 did, he helped produce Black Mass, the Tarzan movie in 2016. He came as a guest speaker, and I basically told myself, you know what, I need a new mentor, so I wanted to see if I could talk to him. But, you sign papers at the New York Film Academy saying that you're not supposed to be soliciting work to any of the guest speakers and stuff, but I pretty much knew I was going to be dropping out, so I was like, fuck it, So essentially,
you broke the rules.
I broke the rules. So out in the parking lot, I waited out while everybody was tackling this guy for a photo, and security was pulling all these people off this guy and shit. And I walked up to him and asked him for an internship, and a security guard stopped me and literally put his hand on my chest and shit and told me he had to go home. The fakest smile on his face. Go home, right? And then Brett gets off his golf cart and says, hey, what's going on? What do you need? Locked up, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. And I fucked up when I asked him. I said, can I internship? That's what I told the guy. And he looked at me like, yeah, and just gave me his card. And then, next thing you know, a month later, I'm still trying to get this guy to see if we could sit down and talk. Cause I'm from the East Coast. We want to sit down. We want to talk. We want to get to know people. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit, right?
We got the intimate.
Yeah, we got the intimates. Exactly. We got the intimates. The intimates. So he wasn't picking up. Yeah, he wasn't picking up his phone. And then eventually I sent him over my resume. And next thing you know, I get an email 30 minutes later saying, hey, we want you to come down to Warner Brothers and talk with us. I'm like, oh, okay, shit.
That's so wild. Dude.
Yeah. I still look back on that shit and I'm like, bro, how did I get the fucking balls to do that shit? Like, I don't even think I'd be able to do that shit now, to be honest.
I mean, and at that point too, it was kind of that like fuck it attitude.
Yeah, pretty
that,
much.
Like was just like, I got to try something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know,
Pretty much.
what were you doing wasn't working, wasn't fulfilling you, but you knew you wanted to like kind of do or be where that guy was.
Yeah, exactly.
So screw it, he's right there.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So essentially I worked with Brett Ratner's company for like a month, made some connections out in Universal in the process, like just kind of going to and from work. So I started working there. I was working in the camera department. I was doing development back at Warner Brothers too. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And then I came back home, worked a dead end job for like 6 months. I was a busser at an Olive Garden. And then next thing you know, I picked up a camera for my first time in 6 months. And I was like, bro, fuck this. I got to get back into it. And a friend of mine called me down saying like, hey, called me up saying like, hey, look, there's a $60,000 like feature film going on in Louisiana. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I go down there, I fly down there and I go to help out. And then she told me, she's like, look, I fucking lied to you. It wasn't $60,000. It was $2.1 million. And
Lied in reverse.
Which I feel like at that point is like, I mean, 60,000, like that's not nothing.
Yeah.
60,000.
It's still pretty good.
Well,
I would love, that'd be amazing.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like still like for folks around here, they're like, holy shit, that's something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But like,
yeah,
exactly. But like, in the grand scheme of things, that makes a monster. Even 2.1 is still small budget, so it was still like the
Which
biggest
is
thing
so
that
funny.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. A lot of big people were on that, and then that kind of just catapulted me from doing like 3 or 4 features that year. And then one day I got a phone call randomly out of nowhere saying, hey, is this Vinny Arizzo? And I'm like, yeah. Hey, what's going on? And they said, hey, look, yeah, someone that you worked with over one of the features that you did a few months ago just led us over to you. And to sum it up, we wanted to see if you wanted to work with us in the costume department because they said you do well with that shit. And I'm like, gosh,
who said you did well in costume?
So I know who it was because I found out later who it was. And she was in the, and bro, I only met her for 5 minutes.
See,
Wow,
that's so
that's
weird.
crazy.
5 minutes. She was working in the costume department, struck a conversation with her, got her number, right? Next thing you know, months later, she was dipping from Marvel.
What the
And she
hell?
threw the fucking and next thing you know, they told me, yeah, we're calling from Marvel. And I started working from fucking Marvel for the next, I've worked for Luke Cage, Iron Fist. And then, everybody got cut because of their transfer over from Netflix to Disney Plus and shit. So, it was just insane. And then I started working as a teacher a little bit later. Then the pandemic kicked in. And then
Bob's your uncle.
Bob's my uncle. That's it. So
And appropriately to end that intro, you faked it until you made it.
Yeah, I faked it until I made it. 100%. That's
name.
literally what I did. This industry is rough, dude. Like it really is fucking rough. But case in point though, with the folks that you do meet that you can vibe with, like that's the crew. You know what I mean? Like you work for dicks all the time, but obviously you're only going to work with them for a short period of time. But in the process, you still have to shine, despite the problems that are going up on set and stuff like that and make that work. So, so that's kind of my experience prior to all this stuff. So I literally did everything except hair and makeup, throughout like basically within my short career of like 3 years prior to like me making the company basically.
Wow. So that was 3 years. You're saying that was 3 years before. How'd you go from that to
Syndicate?
So,
right after Marvel, I was like, bro, this shit, like, cause after everyone got cut, I was like, bro, this shit is so unstable. I'm like, I want something different basically. And so a friend of mine was like, yo, you should be a teacher. He's like, the way that you talk, you should be a teacher. I'm like, all right, I'll look into it. Right. And so sat down, I basically was jumping around all these different nonprofits and schools. And then one school, Staten Island Tech, incredible school, by the way, love them. They wanted to pick me up basically, and they were teaching me how to do that. And I told them I don't have a degree, and they were like, oh well, we could teach you how to get a certificate. Like yeah, and like yeah, we can
I'll take a piece of paper.
I'm like yeah, I'll take it. Like so, I basically found out that there is like such a loophole within the New York school system, in regards to how you can get a teaching certificate, regardless of whether you have an actual degree or not, right? And mind you, this is ranked number 5 out of all the high schools in the entire United States. Like 75% of these kids are like going to Harvard, basically. You know what I mean? So, just about to get this job, on my way, right? Pandemic hits. And I'm like, bro, if the most stable job in the world is not even stable, I might as well just continue being a fucking filmmaker, So at that point, I literally was like, me and my business partner, Jesse, she had her own company. I had my own company. And we were talking about helping each other out. We were chatting each other through the phone. And that was actually during the time where my adopted father was actually passing away of cancer. He was diagnosed literally the day that like the lockdown happened. And then unfortunately, like, you know, the week that I started Syndicate, he passed away. And so what happened was I was basically fighting to get something off the ground because I wanted to like provide, you know? So there was like an act of desperation on top of me finding myself and trying to take advantage of like this digital situation all before like it happened, you know, like during the pandemic and shit. So, now I took my experience of being a filmmaker, right? And then using the experience of being a teacher, I was like, yo, what if we started a production company that had a part-time film school after hours? Like, that would be fucking insane. And my business partner, Jessie, one of my best friends too, she usually roasts me on everything that I do. She's like, yeah, okay, or whatever, right? I remember just pitching that idea to her, and I remember there was just a pause over the phone. And she was like, this is going to work. And I was like, okay, shit. Now, we pretty much got the whole idea down within the first month, but it took us 3 months to find a name for the place. So we started Syndicate, and then unfortunately my father passed away, right? You know, so we started everything out of his garage, basically, right? So we started everything out of his garage, and mind you, there was no production going on during that time, right? But when you're a new company that's open for work and you put that shit up on Google, we got fucking flooded with phone calls because we were the only people willing to work during the pandemic. So Carnegie Hall was hitting us up, fucking nonprofits, like all these big folks, and like literally like they were like stupid checks. And so what happened was, you know, we within a very short amount of time, we moved from the garage to a physical place. And during that time, I was also teaching 2 kids who were my beta students that I was testing the curriculum on and seeing and I was asking them, can I do something better here?
Yeah.
Can I do whatever?
And
you know?
what was the curriculum? What did you came up with everything, right?
Yeah. So the curriculum was, at least in this case, we came up with a custom curriculum that, you know, we'll keep to ourselves at least, because there actually is like a system to the madness and stuff. But the curriculum at the time was anything that was in front of them at that time, right? And then seeing like, hey, did you like how I did this? Do you like how I did that? You know, and getting their input on it. And so eventually what happened was when we finally got the physical place and the doors opened, right? We got like maybe 3 extra students this year. So from the moment that we opened up during the pandemic, 2 students, right? Then we got the new place. 3, maybe 4 students that year. Year number 3, right? Like friggin' 40 students. Like we jumped up, and like right now, yeah, we jumped up because, and not only that, all the other film schools in Jersey went out of business. So
Because of the pandemic? Or just
no, a couple different reasons. We were actually trying to buy one of them out. So what happened was they weren't going to do that though, because we were, you know, to be honest, like I'm not mentioning which one it is, but we basically were telling them like, look, we don't want your company, we don't want your brand, we just want to buy the contacts, right? You have like 400 students at this school, and you're about to basically give them no place to do whatever. Let me give you X amount of dollars for this contact information, and we'll take it from there. Didn't want to do it. Guy was just way too proud. And I'm like,
but what's the difference if they're...
I don't know. And here's the thing. He was still holding fundraisers for a film that he's trying to piece together. I mean, he's like in his 60s, this guy, right? So
Okay.
he you know what I mean? So he had like this whole film school and whatever, and I guess he's trying to now achieve all the dreams that he wants to achieve, assuming so. I'm not saying he is, but he's now doing a fundraiser for this feature that he's trying to put together. He told me about it prior, and then now he's trying to sell all of his gear to do whatever. I would have bought the contacts easy, but what it comes down to is we wanted to make sure that we could have a place to secure these folks, right? And so now we're teaching industry standard, not just by myself, but by other, you know, industry standard professionals. You know, we've had you guys come and instruct and whatnot. And one of the things that we don't allow at the school is, and we get constant contacts from folks who are like, hey, can I be an instructor there? Like, are you working right now? Are you a filmmaker? Like, are you actually doing this stuff? And they're like, yeah, I'm between jobs right now. I'm like, no way. You got to be a full-time filmmaker, paying for your rent, your home, putting food on the table with filmmaking alone, or you're not going to be an instructor here. Because that's the problem with colleges. If you really think about it, you're learning filmmaking from people that aren't even doing it themselves. Their paycheck is the school that they're working for. You know what I mean? So that's what we're trying to fix now in
Yeah,
this
it's
case.
very rare that you can find. I mean, it's kind of like you were saying before, a mentor that like can teach you the stuff that you actually need to know.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
to like make a living doing what we do.
And even the business stuff on top of that too, because everybody teaches the art thing, but no one ever teaches business, you know, and that's exactly what we teach. You know, I can't teach the financial stuff, but you know, because I'm not legally, and I can't teach the legal stuff because I'm not legally allowed. But you know, I can absolutely teach the business strategies on how we do that type of stuff. So, so yeah, that's how Syndicate got put together and whatnot.
That's how Syndicate came together, man.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
no, I was same as Mike. I was really wanting to know this story because we never had a chance to talk about it. But so, you've been through a lot, man.
Yeah, you guys I mean, it's almost fair to say you guys kind of struck goals. Like everything came together at the perfect time. But it sounds like the first 2 years it took you to like maybe year 3 to hit those 40 students.
Yeah.
So what was going through your head? What was it like in those first 2 years? What were the doubts like? What was the adversity you had to battle through that you started this thing and then maybe it wasn't going what you expected and then how you persevered to year 3 and it blew up?
Sure. There were no doubts. That's the crazy part there because we knew, like you know, that gut feeling that, you know, that Peter Pan feeling that you feel like you can fly, you know, that was Syndicate for us, you know? So we were sitting there and we're like, bro, this stuff is going to take off. And we looked at each other, even at the worst case scenario, we could have a really crappy day. And we looked at each other, we're like, bro, this place is going to take off, you know? And then like the day after, like something crazy would happen. Right. But, those 40, it was a mix between a word of mouth, the marketing element that we were doing. And then also funny enough, a lot of it came from the state, at least for like the folks with disabilities. So we have a specific wing at the school for folks with disabilities, right? So little, not a fun fact, it's just a really upsetting like statistic here. A lot of folks with disabilities, regardless of whether it's their caretaker, mentor, you know, regardless of whether they're in a group home or not, essentially what all they do is they stay at home and all they do throughout the day is either watch TV or go to sleep. And that's their entire life, right? Now, there's a program called DDD, which is the Department of Developmental Disability. Funny enough, I found out about this whole thing through a teacher that I used to torture in high school. And again, it's just crazy because all the teachers that I used to love never helped me when I called them up and I helped them. And you know, I would help them out with like filmmaking needs, this, that, and the third, whatever. And then when it came to, hey, can you give me a pipeline of something that's going to help feed my business? Nothing. The one teacher that I drove absolutely insane, like I would make her yell at me and like we would front up, you know what I mean? Like it was like I drove her nuts. I was not the best student growing up, but essentially what happened was she helped me and she put me on a pipeline to where we were able to receive funds from Medicaid in order to teach people with disabilities. So we have the state paying us to teach people with disabilities. It comes out of the state, it comes out of their Medicaid budget. So that was huge. That was a huge big deal. So it's not even just the fact that we have the only film school in New Jersey now, but we also have a pipeline of, you know, there's no other program.
And I'm guessing the only school for that.
For disabilities, yeah.
For doing like this kind of work. Wow.
Yeah, and it's all part-time too. It's all part-time. So we're full-time filmmakers during the day, reaching out to clients, constantly shooting stuff, you know, creating content, like all that stuff. And then the last 2 hours of my day is just me being a mentor. And then that's it. And then they have constant contact between me, Jesse, or whoever they meet. And then, you know, we guide them on their journey and stuff like that. So it's basically how it goes.
It's funny you were talking about NIFA because I'm working a job for NIFA this month, going down to Miami, the Miami campus, to do a campus video of their school, having camp in Miami. And
I mean, good for you, but
yeah. What's funny is that when I was on the meeting with them, we were like, oh, it'd be awesome to get some footage of some of the students like on set, you know, on their sets, like on production stuff. Like, no, we can't. No. You're not gonna get that. Not gonna get that. We're like, what? Don't your students like do stuff? And he's like, and this is the director of NIFA,
the film chair.
Yeah, saying no, that stuff doesn't exist. No, we can't get that. I'm like, it's a film school, right?
Yeah.
You go to like
they don't shoot.
Amazing. That's what I suspected. I suspected that from when he said it. I was like, they don't do anything after they graduate, do they?
No, they don't. You want to hear a scary statistic for film schools? And it doesn't matter where you're going to find it, because every single school will lie about their own statistics. I forgot where I read it from. You could fact check me on this, but it's almost 80% of unemployment for all film schools. They will never see a whiff of the industry.
Right.
80%. Not 10, not 15, not 20. 80%, dude. And that has everything to do, and it's not even just the education. It has everything to do with their work ethic. Because think about it, it's on what's 20% of something that's bound to happen, like out of like the entire, it's business. The only ones that are willing to persevere are entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? Ones who are willing to roll through the punches. They're willing to work without getting paid. They're willing to work and try everything and make a fool of themselves in the process. But the problem is with NIFA is they are all hiring instructors that are not full-time filmmakers. Maybe they've had some experience, but they are not full-time filmmakers. Now, I was kind of bad in NIFA because I would literally get the gear and say it was for a project and go do my own shoots and shit, to try to like build the momentum and, like build a portfolio and stuff.
Yeah,
right.
That's what you got to do.
Right. Exactly. That's what you got to do. But but no one else did that. You know what I mean? Like it's literally not, it's bad, bro. It is bad. And it was even worse because the teachers just, I felt like wouldn't try. So here's the thing. Here's what speaks volumes to me. And this is good for you because you get the job, get your money, make your bread, do what you got to do, right? Why are they hiring a filmmaker outside of NIFA to do that job?
That's what I thought too.
Right.
And they signed on with, it's an agency that Chris used to work for that I freelance for. They signed on with that agency to take over all their video marketing. And that's why I'm doing the job and I'm doing not just Miami campus, I'm doing every single one of their campuses, even the one in Italy. In LA, and like
Sweet.
It's a cool thing, but then I was very skeptical because like my question was going to be like about the stigma of going to film school and like the culture that it creates. Sometimes it creates an ego, sometimes it creates unrealistic expectations, especially like NYU and like this kind of stuff. Because we have a buddy who works indirectly with NYU, helping students creating their project. Andy.
Yes, I love Andy.
Yeah, who doesn't love Andy?
I love Andy.
So I learned from him about like how their process works and stuff. And it's like the kind of students it creates. And it's like when they're done with the school, like, you don't, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
You have to do this shit yourself.
Yeah. I have NYU students at my school. I have NYU students at my school.
That's crazy.
That's
insane.
Think about that.
Because they're paying like how much? $60K a year, if not more.
100%.
Yeah.
And literally they tell me over and over, we did not learn this. That is fucking disgusting.
That's robbery.
Bro, at the max, I'm charging people like $3K a year.
Yeah. I mean, something's wrong when like everyone's saying it.
Yeah.
Literally anybody you talk to.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Who has gone to film school regrets it. I know one, if not two people personally that have gone to film school and have regretted it.
I regret it. In all honesty, like my film school.
Three.
Yeah, my film school is not. Yeah, no, it's all good. My film school is not. It's by no means necessary a film school. It's literally like a trade program. You know what I mean? You're not getting a certificate.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't want to call it a film school.
Yeah, exactly. But for marketing purposes,
buzzwords, yes.
you call it a film school.
Absolutely. But you know what I mean.
Well, get this too. This is actually really interesting, right? If you really think about this. So a lot of my students or students' parents, depending on if they're teenagers or somebody with a disability, they say, do they get a certificate off of this? Now, we all know, you don't need a certificate in filmmaking, right? Come on, that doesn't even,
I got stories about that with my parents, dealing with my parents, like, because they're not understanding, I need a bachelor's degree. No, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So I looked into it for them. So the first set of people that I called, the first set of people that I called was the New Jersey Film Commission, right? Called the New Jersey Film Commission. I was like, yo, this is going to sound so stupid. Is there any way that I could somehow get like a certification for my trade program? And literally they were like, in their words, and it's a really good friend of mine who works there. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he goes, he's like, I don't know how I can help you. He's like, how's this? I'll transfer you over to the state's Department of Labor. I'm like, okay. All right, cool.
I wouldn't want to be transferred to that phone number.
I got transferred over and they told me almost in their words exactly, there is not and cannot be a way to regulate and or distribute some type of certification in something that does not need it. And so if you really think, and now here's the thing, think about this. With that being said, if the state doesn't allow it, if the state does not recognize a certification of film, then what the fuck are these kids getting at these schools that you're paying $40,000, $70,000 a year for?
Because even at a state school, our kind of motto in any arts department is like, I'm literally just getting a piece of paper that says I went to school.
It's a fucking lie. Yeah. It's a lie.
But you're not even getting that.
It's a lie. Yeah. it's fucking crazy.
So like you don't have anything.
What they're really getting
except a demo reel, which we made anyway. Yeah. With like on our own time. Yeah. Which is like the whole point, I guess, of what we're saying.
Exactly. And that's where you guys are part of that 20%.
Yeah.
Right? That's where you guys are part of that 20%. You guys did the shit outside of school. You guys are like, yo, this would be cool. This would be fun. Let's make something happen.
Well, I mean, you saw it in our classes. Yeah. There would be the people that were just doing the shit that you learn in class and nothing else. And the shit was bad. Yeah. And it's like we would go off and do the cool stuff, but we would be watching Corridor Digital and learning programs on our own because we wanted to. Mm-hmm. And that's the stuff that you needed to learn.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
And with all this stuff that's I think about this all the time of how fast programs and technology move with the filmmaking stuff and video production in general. And how can our God bless Professor Sanders at TCNJ, but just it wasn't current. Yeah. And like how are you going to keep up with that, which is why what you're doing makes more sense, bringing in the people that are doing it day to day that know what you should actually be doing and learning.
Yeah. And I tell them too, like, look, I'm not perfect. I'm learning with you guys. I'm dead at things are moving all the time. I'm dead ass learning with you guys, at least in that sense. And the crazy thing too, bringing that up, parents always ask me too, right? At least for the teenagers, right? Like, what college should he go to? And I give it to him straight. I was like, respectfully,
Boomers.
I respectfully give it to him. I was like, yo, there ain't no college that's gonna help your kid. Your kid's got to help your kid. That's it. And then here's the thing: some are for it, and then others are like, because they want they're like, he needs a backup plan. I'm like, don't you understand that there was no backup plan for every filmmaker that did this shit? That's how that goes.
That's the thing. It's that there's definitely some form of risk associated to it compared to other fields where you have, depending on where you go, you can get a guaranteed paycheck. But as we speak to more and more people like Josh, who works at DreamWorks, works at Netflix, he's gotten cut too. And it's such a weird, it's different. Yeah. It's different than anything else you could pick, probably.
It is different.
And you got to have the drive and you got to have the, the durability to stay, to hang in there and find your next thing that you're going to do.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So that's basically how the film school.
Hate that.
Yeah, no, they do hate it. It actually makes them
do not like that.
It gets parents scared.
My parents almost threw up when I told them I was leaving my other more stable job to try and do freelance full time. And it's their parents. They want the best for their kids.
They're worried.
So it's like,
so my
you
background,
understand it, but it's just like, that's just how things are.
My background was a little different though. My adopted father was an incredible entrepreneur, right? Worked 14 years as a janitor at a warehouse before building his own company and shit, right? So now here's the thing. He was not a good teacher. He sucked. Literally, when I tell you School of Hard Knocks, and then he wouldn't even tell you what he did right, I just basically had to watch everything that this guy did essentially. But what it came down to, and he was a quiet guy too. So whenever he told me that something was going to work, he meant it, right? And so I thought that I was going to be a construction, this is prior to me, even wanting to become a filmmaker, because all I did was shoot YouTube videos on the weekends, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a construction worker like my dad, right? Whatever. In my teens, right? And then he tells me, right after we got in a shit ton of trouble with like trespassing on property, shooting a war film, basically, you know?
Love it.
Yeah. We're in full camouflage, like, you know, blacked out
guns.
Blacked out guns, you know, cops were pulling up and shit, you know? So I remember all I gave a shit about was the footage, but he told me, he's like, you should do this as a career. And that was basically the moment. And so here's what it comes down to. My background was my dad was saying, just make your own business. You know, just do it. You know, just do it. And like, you know, I remember telling my dad, and bro, I remember my dad was telling me, like, you know, with like the teaching job that I wanted, like when I was going for Staten Island Tech, right? It's like, yo, dad, they're gonna pay me like, you know, I don't know, like 50 grand a year or some shit like that. And it's crazy, right? It's like, dude, that's chump change and you're worth a lot more.
Right.
That's chump change and you are worth so much more.
It's awesome to hear from your parent.
Yeah. You know, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And here's the thing, gut feeling, he was right. But I was going to pursue this shit because I didn't want to keep jumping around anymore. But guess what? You have to keep jumping around. You have to. You have to. That's how entrepreneurship is literally character building. It's growth, you know, like that. And the reason why people in this industry don't last before they even make it to the start line is because they're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to put it. And respectively speaking, it's not back-breaking work. It's just time-consuming.
Tedious.
Yeah, tedious.
It's just time, you know, tedious, time consuming.
Tedious in the art itself, but also in the business.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're dealing with people.
You know, it's not like working, you know, said construction or steelwork or masonry for like 30 plus years and all that. You know what I mean? It's
my
like,
hands are soft and smooth.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me feel.
You pick it up and
they can't be.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty soft.
That's no bricks.
You're not
baby.
doing.
That's pretty soft.
I'm not laying bricks.
You're not doing enough
pretty
camera
soft.
work. You're not holding enough light stands.
My forearms aren't as strong as yours. I'll say that.
That's true. That's why I carry the C stands.
So, but yeah, so that's basically Syndicate in a nutshell. It's a production company like most production companies, and the fact that we shoot a lot of content, commercials and stuff like that, and then we also do, you know, the film school on the side, basically.
Yep.
You know. So
wow.
That's essentially it.
Something I was going to ask you as well that we all kind of have, we probably all deal with was something we were talking about the other day of like balancing. We're at a point, I think me and Chris are both kind of at a point right now where we're balancing client work and personal work. And it's been like this circus act of, well, I got to do some stuff for them. I got to do some stuff for me. And so we're at a weird place where we had this conversation a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, of like, hey, I think I asked him like, hey, where do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want us to do in like the next 5 years and stuff? And we, you know, collectively didn't really have much of a solid answer for that. I think because of where we're at in our freelance game, and, you know, we talked about, do we want to partner together officially and do business together officially and go after clients for Helium Turtle Studios? Because right now we just kind of do our own thing. And sometimes we bring each other in on projects whenever we can, but it's not actually together. You know, outside of the creative stuff, client work stuff, it's like, do we want to build a business together, purely business, or do we want to fully pursue our creative stuff that technically doesn't have any kind of monetary kickback at the moment? There's no, you know, financial gain for us to do the stuff that we do at the moment. But I do believe, and we both feel very strongly about the current project that we're working on that is going to pay dividends, and in who knows what ways it will pay back to us, as far as a career jump, career starter, whatever you want to call it. We just feel so strongly in the project. So it's hard to even think outside of that at the moment, because we felt so strongly and we believed in what we were doing, so much so that we spent 46 days of filming to get it done. And now we're spending how many months in post-production to get it done, that it's hard to look outside of that, because we feel so strongly that this is going to do so much for us.
Sure.
In different ways. So, I mean, I would personally love to be directing film, writing, directing film, going like ultimate goal being be the only thing I do.
Sure.
Because if I really strip back everything and be like, what do I want to do today, right now? What is the one thing that will make me super happy today to do right now? And I wish I would wish I was working on my next movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, I think if I really boil it down, that's what I absolutely love doing.
Sure.
I would love to continue doing.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I would say one thing to say off that. What was I gonna say? Oh, just talking about that duality we've had recently, which is client work versus our work. Because that was the reason why I left my full-time production job, was because I felt like I wasn't doing anything important. Like, the work I was doing was like corporate boring shit,
Meaningless.
and didn't mean anything. Didn't even have any creative value. And I hadn't worked on my own stuff in like a year. And I was like, this sucks. I have no time for me. And I'm burnt out commuting, and I'm doing all this stuff. And I know all these freelance people that have a little bit better balance of life, where they have more time for their own personal endeavors, but they're still paying the bills with freelance. So that's the reason why I made that switch, was to get back to the creative stuff that I just needed to fulfill me. And now that we're kind of here, it's, I don't want to say different, but it's got different things to it that you're experiencing, where it's like, okay, where do you want that balance to fall? Do you want to bank on yourself more and do shit that doesn't make the money, kind of like we were saying before, in hopes that it'll pay dividends in the future? Or do you want to bank full time on doing less your stuff, but the client work that's going to, have a little bit more stability to it? So I feel like we're always having that little seesaw in our minds.
Yeah.
Of like, where do you put your time and energy? And it's always a gamble, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of straight enjoyment, I'm your team 100%. Like, I love, making those beautiful images and making those beautiful things that other people can experience.
Sure.
And, we all love that shit. I would love to be doing that all the time. And anything that gets you to just doing more of that kind of work, I think, is where I'm at mentally.
Yeah.
Which goes in line with just finishing what we're working on now, getting as many eyes on it as possible, so that more people will call me and pay me to do things that I like.
No, I get that.
Let's put our phone numbers at the end of the credits. Don't do that, actually.
I just leave the websites up at the very least.
That was partially my question to you, Vinny, was like, with the production company and the school together, how do you balance what you want to accomplish? How do you balance your day, even on a day-to-day basis? How do you balance your week? Where do you put most of your time in? Where do you want to succeed? Do you want the production company to succeed more than the school? What's your grand vision for both? And how do you, it's the work-life balance, not even work-life balance, but like that's it's almost like two different things.
Yeah. No, because it really is. And then, here, I can tell you this personally, at least, right? There are days where the production is slower, and there's days where the film school is slower, right? And they both balance each other out. Where one falls, the other one picks up. Where the other one falls, the other one picks up, and so on and so forth, right? So, so for me, I have at least 5 times out of the entire year where I get in this closed in, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to talk to nobody, it's, like, and basically
That's me all the time.
It comes, but in like to a disappointed level. I mean, I don't know if that's
no.
Okay, cool. Okay. So like, it's like, I'll do more of the film school element, and then like, I'll be like, oh, yo, I gotta take a pause for like a week and then recoup. Right. And then same thing with the production company. Sometimes we'll be doing projects that we don't like. Pause, we'll recoup. And then, things always pick up after a while. But I'll give you a solid example on how we fix that. We do what we like to do afterwards. We're like, hey, look, you trust your gut feeling. How can you change this problem right here? Burping. How can you change this problem right here, right?
It's simple.
It's literally just do what you want to do. So like me and my business partner, we felt unaccomplished in the sense that it dawned on us that we were always making everybody else's dreams happen but our own. if that makes sense. We shoot for all these big name clients, which I know a lot of people would kill to have. But the problem was we weren't shooting our own films, right? So the past weekend, we locked ourselves in a cabin, 5 hours.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked awesome.
We saw
That looks
that
so
on
cool.
Instagram.
I literally sent it to him. I was like, dude, I want to do this. We should do this. We need to do this.
Worth it.
Well, sometimes you need to,
Worth
right?
it.
You
It's
just
worth
gotta.
it.
Yeah, no, I hear about that. Yeah.
It's so worth it, dude. I'm telling you, like, literally, when the only time that we ever went out was because we arrived at 12 midnight in literally the middle of the state, and the nearest town was 25 minutes away. And so what happened was we woke up the next morning, picked up groceries 25 minutes away, came back 25 minutes back, and then just locked ourselves in a cabin for 3 days. That was the most successful I've been at writing, because I finished 2 pilots last year, but like 2 pilot screenplays. But this year it was more successful because I didn't have all this noise around me, and I was able to give, like said, like let's just say I had 25 pages that I wrote that evening. You know, I would just give it over to my business partner. Yo, you read this, I'll read yours, right? And we would start to build. And that's exactly how we started the business. Jesse and I were writing screenplays together. You know, that's how we started. But that, I think, is definitely needed. You got to get away. For an example, I'm on and off Instagram at least like twice a week. I'll delete it for 2 days, be productive. Then I'll be on maybe to get a contact, and then I'll start to death scroll, and then just I'm hooked back in, right? But then I delete it again, right? So I'm having this constant battle with myself with distraction. And the only way to do that is if I literally just delete all social media and just literally get out of the state and just do what I have to do, or at least get away from all the noise. So honestly, the best way that I think that I balance myself is I get away from everything. And I really hone in on what my gut feeling is telling me to, because I got the chance to meet one of my idols like right after high school, and we became like friends afterwards. Like, you know, we've been texting and shit, and he's been telling me like, hey, look, you got to follow your gut feeling, because your gut feeling is the God feeling. Before you die and you look back on yourself, we look at not the things that we did, but the things that we didn't do. So
right.
That's basically how you have to look at it, right? So if you ask yourself right now, have you done everything that you wanted to accomplish? And if the answer is no, then you got to do that tomorrow. Yeah, seriously. That's literally
right.
You got to do that tomorrow. That's literally how it goes. So that's where we're at. So right now we're building features. We're building pilots. We're going to get that shit funded. That's not even a question, you know, because we can absolutely make that happen. So stay tuned for Syndicate originals to pop up this year, and, you know,
yes, sir.
Amazing.
Make that happen. So if not, then maybe early next year. Depending on who we're asking to invest. So, you know, that's basically how that goes. So, you know, in regards to balancing, you know, it's honestly pretty good, but there's days where it's just really, really bad, you know, like 5 times out of the entire year. But if that happens, I always pick myself up out of it, and I'm just like, all right, you know, I just have to trust my gut feeling and tell me, what do I need to do first? What do I need to accomplish? And then that's it, you know? It's like, just truly trust your gut feeling. Your gut feeling has brain cells too, dude. You know what I mean? So like, you got to follow what that tells you.
Yeah, I mean, it means something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So, you know, that's basically it. So my balance is pretty good for the most part until it's not. And then when it's not, it just goes right back in. It's better than quitting, you know? So just got to keep moving. So that's it.
Yeah, it's better than quitting.
It's better than quitting, you know? So that's how I see it.
I have like a binge and purge cycle with like being productive, because I'm sure you guys can relate to this, about just like one day will be fantastic and then the next will be zero production.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
I think you need
just
that.
all over the place.
You do need
you
that.
need that. You need that, like, to just
but it gets bad sometimes.
That's what you need.
Hey man, it's further than what you would do on a 9 to 5. It'll take you further than what you would typically do on a 9 to 5.
No,
so
that's
just
for sure.
take it, you know, just do 1 million miles in 1 minute, and then the next hour you do nothing, you know, and then, but here's the thing, it may seem off balance, but you're going further than where you would if someone else were to be orchestrating your life.
Yeah.
You know, so you just got to claim that. So
yeah. And a weird thing, I mean, creativity can strike at weird fucking times too.
Yeah. Well, David Lynch said it best, you know, it's like writers are not worshipped for, Here's the thing:
They're not paid either.
Well, yeah. Well, I was about to say in regards to, is a cook worshipped for catching the fish before they cook it? No, they just catch the idea when it happens, and then that's basically you can't force yourself. You got to catch it when it happens. So. If you find yourself in that mood, you got to catch it while it's there.
Mike's almost always naked when his happens.
Almost always in the shower, in the car, no matter where it is. I'm naked.
Shower,
I'm just naked all the time. But
I remember that you said that.
I heard one
Naked
time,
Mike?
and I kind of do believe in it. It's like how ideas come about, and how we basically there's like not the collective consciousness, but how ideas do just come to us.
Yeah.
And then we are not in control of the ideas. They are just, it is up for us to grab them.
I'm a vessel.
Yeah, you are just a vessel for these ideas, and then they're just floating around, and it's just, I don't know.
How do you conduct your ideas? How do you compose your ideas? Or if you can't, when is the best moment?
Fucking write them down.
When is it the best moment that you catch them?
In the shower and in the car.
Okay.
Is like the two. And when I wake up.
Yeah.
As soon as
he can predict his. I don't get it.
Very often it's like we'll be struggling with something, and you're like, all right, well, I'll just sleep on it. And then when I wake up,
that
boom.
does work. Sleeping on shit is often so how you get out of like stuff like that.
Facts.
Writer's block. Can't figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking go to sleep.
Sure.
You'll figure it out in the first 5 minutes when
of
you
being
wake
awake.
up.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
because your brain is talking about it when you're sleeping.
It's weird.
Yeah,
that's just
sleep is fucking weird
when it hits me. The shower and the car are two places where I usually something will just hit, and then I'll call him, I'll call Dan, I'll call Natalie, I'll just call everybody and tell everybody the idea just to get it out there.
It sounds like you need to be relaxed.
Yeah, or shower, relax. I usually play music, and then car also focused on something, but also playing music. And then just like kind of sitting and doing nothing.
Yeah. That's me too. I'm usually caffeine and music. And I'm
not
usually,
a lot of caffeine.
Yeah. And I'm usually not a lot, just a little bit nowadays, but I usually pace in circles like a fucking monster.
Oh my God.
You do that.
I do that.
I pace a lot, bro.
I pace a lot.
I'm like, how many steps a day are you? Do you know?
Steps a day?
I don't know. Jackie just got me a watch, so I should be knowing. I don't wear it enough to do it. I just put it on before I got here, so it's not going to have any. Plus, I wasn't pacing.
Today wasn't a pacing day.
Oh, I was pacing like a fucking
you
monster
pacing?
today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I talk, I pace. Anytime I'm thinking, I pace.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm explaining something to him or to like the crew or something, I'm fucking like walking in circles, like talking to everybody.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Stop talking! Stop moving! Stop moving!"
Natalie
You're driving me crazy.
I don't get annoyed by it.
I thought that was you. That was Natalie.
What about you? What's your creative process? How do you catch ideas?
I don't know. I can't answer that. Yeah, most of it's always fucking 3 or 4 a.m. It's always late.
Yeah,
it's always late, and I need to be alone. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah. No, I think I need to be alone too. Now thinking about it, I'm not a reactive thinker. I'm a proactive thinker. That makes sense.
Yeah.
The difference between proactive and reactive thinking.
I want to say I'm reactive, but I don't know the difference. But that
most people are reactive.
Yeah, what would you describe it as?
Well, reactive it's based on your surroundings. It's based on your experiences. Proactive is where it's like it just comes out of nowhere. But there's still kind of like a reactive sense to proactive thinking because it's still based on shit that you've seen before, if that makes sense. But still, generatively, you could just come up with something out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Okay, that does happen.
But reactive is where like it's based on something that you've heard, or you know what I mean? Reactive needs to be like within the present moment. Like you hear an idea, like, oh, this would be cool. Right. And then like, now, full disclosure, proactive thinkers are also great reactive thinkers because they can pull shit out of their ass like that. You know what I mean? So
I was going to say, I need both in my process where that thing that comes to me and I tell them about it. The reason I need to tell everybody is because I need them to say stuff back to me, because when they start saying stuff back to me, more things click.
Yeah, I would say I'm more of the person that I'm the bounce guy.
You're reactive.
You bounce shit to me.
You're reactive.
Yeah.
You're reactive.
And I'm like, okay,
I need that bounce.
I push the direction.
Yeah. I need that.
I mean, that's always our dichotomy whenever we're talking.
Right.
Is you're the train and I'm the tracks.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I just came
so
up with
proactive,
that.
reactive. Yeah. All right, cool. No, that's dope. Got a Timon and Pumbaa relationship.
And Natalie's shoveling the coal.
Oh yeah. And
She's putting on the brakes probably.
our regulator. But I need the collaborations. I need when people say ideas to me, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's not what I thought. But that takes me in a whole different direction. Like, no, I don't. I mean, you get all your bad ideas out first and kind of shovel through everything. But we don't, in our process, in our group and everything, we're so collaborative that, no idea is a bad idea. It may just not be the right idea for the moment. But I love being able to like ingest everybody's feedback and just like filter it.
Yeah.
And filter it through and being like, yes. Oh, you're running me somewhere else. Like, oh, now I'm hearing what you're saying. And now it's taking me in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Maybe in a direction that you intended, but I didn't know I was going to go there, but I didn't know it until you said that.
Yeah.
And that opened up a whole floodgate to a whole other thing. So, oh, okay, that's interesting.
You got some reactive elements.
I love that. I love all that. I love that whole interaction and the whole process of doing that.
Well, how's this? I really liked this video that I found recently on Instagram from, I think it was Bill Hader that said this. It's like when you're reading a screenplay or you're like reading an idea, right? If someone tells you that there's something wrong with the idea, 99.99% of the time they're correct, right? But
they won't have the language to like describe exactly what it is.
Well, not even that. It's also if they tell you how to fix it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's bullshit. Then don't listen to them.
It's wrong.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So let's just say if a beat's wrong on an idea, they're totally correct
because they have the feeling
exactly.
that something's wrong,
but when they tell you how to fix it, don't follow it. You have to figure that out for yourself.
That's
you know
funny.
what I mean?
Yep. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good, man.
So that's the same thing. So feedback is important. Peer-to-peer review is massive in this industry. But the problem is you can't take like feedback. You can't take people's ideas per se. Yeah, 100%. Like that's so just little thing that I just bouncing off that.
Right. I mean,
and that's reactive.
He has so much experience doing that shit. Like it didn't come from nowhere. That piece of advice.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure, 100%.
Or at least for his process. So
all right, cool.
If we have a quick second,
my last question.
Talk
as someone who does film in New Jersey, as someone who went to LA, spent time in LA, whether you were in the film circuit or you were in the industry itself, there is also this, because I was experiencing it too with me and Jackie, like, we got to go to LA. LA is where you got to go to make films. We can't do this here. We got to go to LA. That's where the action's happening. That's where we need to do it. What would be your argument? And I know even Danny DeVito has PSAs of like bringing film to New Jersey. What would be your argument of you don't need to go to LA? You can not only can you do it right where you are, but what's also the reason to do it in New Jersey and why New Jersey?
Bro, I'm really close with the New Jersey Film Commission. Great people, by the way. They'd love to help out and they give a lot of good resources and nobody taps into those resources. Please use the New Jersey Film Commission, regardless of whether you're using their list or, talking to somebody about their tax incentives, which is what I'm about to talk about. If you're shooting a feature film, obviously you need to be eligible, but there are so many benefits to shooting here in regards to their tax incentives. And at the very least, there isn't any infrastructure here, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. Here's the good thing about that though. Municipalities are not used to people shooting out here, so they don't know what to charge.
That's funny.
And there's no penalties for shooting independent productions out here, if in worst case.
Yeah.
If you really think about it. And so there's a lot of room for growth. And the tax incentives are the highest in the entire country. So start while you can now, because you're not going to regret it later.
Yeah.
And specifically speaking, moving out to LA, that's the whole point of agents and managers. So the little funny thing about what agents and managers, here's the thing, you need a manager if you have too much work, but having an agent, kind of like the funny little thing that I heard about agents is, I moved out to LA so you don't. You know what I mean? Or I moved to New York so that way you don't, right? So even if you wanted to stay here, you can still get an agent in one of those areas to find you work. And if you're cool with traveling,
right,
it shouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean? But case in point, I think Jersey is, to me, I think Jersey is perfect to shoot out here, especially if you're independent. there is just so much to work with. Right, even down to there are still rental houses out here, like beautiful rental, like great gear. It's affordable, stupid affordable. I mean, try going to New York and LA, shooting what we're shooting out here. You can, like, even if you were doing it for a handshake out here, even if you weren't doing it for a handshake, excuse me, it's so much more affordable doing it the right way out here. It's perfect. And there is literally no other place that I would rather be other than Jersey when it comes to filmmaking, to be honest. And mainly because there's so much more competition in those areas. I got a lot of headroom. Like, you saw how fast the company scaled up, and that's because of how fast we were able to get our name out there. Yo, this kid Vinny Arizzo, he's fucking crazy. And the next thing you know, it just like shit starts to pop off because like
well, I think it's because people want it here.
Yeah,
they just don't know that they can have it here.
Yeah, well, that's it. All people here is Netflix, and that's it. And Netflix isn't the only studio that's coming out here. I think from what I've heard, Amazon, Paramount, Lionsgate just bought property in Newark.
There you go.
$100 million worth. There's like 5 studios moving out here right now, and everyone's just talking about Netflix.
Yeah.
If all of these giants are moving out here right now, you better get ready and start your company like ASAP, because when these guys are out here in the next 5 years, which I think Netflix is moving in officially like 2025, 2026, something like that. Once they're in, who are they going to call? There's only so many filmmakers in Jersey, and you got to have some good work lined up too. So when they call you up, just be ready and to make that call. But it's all based on luck. And what is luck? Is when preparation meets opportunity. So you got to get prepared, and then when the opportunity comes by, that's it. And that's literally how every filmmaker gets their job. They don't just get it because they were at the right place at the right time. They're at the right place at the right time. Plus they had the work behind their belt.
Yeah.
And the skills.
You don't see all that stuff that happened that led up to that moment.
No. People think you're an overnight success.
People take that for granted.
Yeah,
for sure.
there's no such thing as an overnight success. And if it does, it's bad character building, and they're going to fall within a very short amount of time. You know?
And fuck them.
And fuck them. No, honestly, I mean, fuck them.
No, man. That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't even know about other studios making the move.
Talk to the commission.
I mean, it sounds like, my buddy Josh, he's like, if Netflix is coming back to Jersey, I'm coming back to Jersey.
Yeah.
Because he works there now. He's going to chill.
He's in LA?
Yeah, he's in LA working at Netflix.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
It's expensive out there.
He hates it.
It's expensive.
He hates it.
And the people are weird. Hey, just come home. You got pork roll, egg, and cheese. You got pizza, because, it's just, that's...
The people thing I hear most, like, from people, friends that we know that are out there. It's
a wild town.
There's a girl that from Actors Playground, Julia, moved out there and doing like writing stuff, and she's like, the one thing, like, you can tell, we're from Jersey, we can tell when people are fake.
Yeah.
And like your Jersey bullshit radar is gonna go flying off the roof.
Yeah,
flying off the scale when you're out there.
When you meet somebody out there that you actually vibe with, they're from Jersey.
Yeah, no,
that
is they're at least from the East. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I remember, bro, and that's the thing too. I don't know if you've lived out there for an extensive period. Like, we all have accents, right? Little do we know, we all have accents.
For
those watching this, if you're not from Jersey, yes, we now know we have accents, but it doesn't sound like an accent to us, right? Go out there, right?
Not the Long Island accent.
No. and specifically speaking, it's not New York, it's not Staten Island, it's. So fucking, when I was living out in LA, I lost my Jersey twang, I guess you can kind of say, right? And I wasn't pronouncing coffee, I was pronouncing it coffee.
You changed.
I didn't realize.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, I was becoming like but then one day I ran into a guy from New York, and he had the thickest New York accent you could imagine. And then next thing you know, I turned around, and then it was like the Ratatouille, like scene, like, and it was like, and I was like, yo, what's good, cuz? And he goes, you from New York? And I'm like, no, I'm from Jersey. And next thing you know, we hugged each other in the middle of the fucking bonds, bro. So it was, dude, it's crazy out there. But yeah, you don't gotta be out there. Fuck that place. Come back here. You know what I mean? Just come back to Jersey.
If that ever sums up this show, I think that sentence is it.
That's what I was looking for.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It was an absolute pleasure. Perhaps we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Even virtually. You don't have to drive all the way up here, but
I want to be up here.
If you want to be, then I will buy the beer next time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate
and
it.
I'll get some cannolis.
Oh, you know a place?
I know a place.
Ooh.
Never bought me cannolis.
Ooh. Okay. I'll take you up on that offer.
He's a guest.
Yeah. Let's get it.
I'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate it.